How's it going, guys? We're going to do just a quick comparison video between the M&P9, the centerfire, and the rimfire M&P22. This is also an M&P22, but it's just in the race or competition setup. So we're going to go ahead and push that one off to the side, and we'll talk about that one in a future video. But what we're going to do is just show you guys kind of just the similarities and the differences between the center-fired version and the rim-fired version of this pistol. Okay, first off, they're virtually identical in size. There's very little difference in the size of these pistols. The Smith & Wesson website says that this gun is 1/10 of an inch longer than the full-size M&P, so I can't even probably see the 1/10 of an inch difference. But anyway, that's virtually the only difference in size. Other than that, they're almost identical. The M&P, when it comes to ergonomics, the M&P9 has this part of the grip, the removable backstrap, can be interchanged with larger backstraps. This is the small one that I have on this one. It's the one I prefer the most. The M&P22 does not have interchangeable backstraps. They have molded in the medium-sized backstrap, so it is still comfortable. I do still prefer the small backstrap for me, but it's not a deal breaker by any means. The ergonomics are fantastic on the M&P series. What I find really funny is on the Smith & Wesson website, these pistols both are listed as 24 ounces. And I'll tell you that there's absolutely no way that the M&P22 weighs the same as the M&P9. We're talking a solid steel slide, whereas the M&P22 has an aluminum slide, and you can tell, you can physically tell the difference. This is definitely a lighter gun. I don't know by how much, but it's definitely probably several ounces lighter than the M&P 9mm. The construction is very similar though. Other than that, we have aluminum and we have steel. We do have polymer frames. Now, one thing that's interesting is the polymer on the M&P 9mm is kind of, it's different than like the polymers even on the Glocks and other pistols. I actually kind of like it. It has a little bit more of a texture to me, but look real close at that. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the M&P22. You can see that the polymer is actually quite a bit different. This actually is a lot shinier and a lot smoother, and it does feel a little bit more plasticky than the polymer used on the M&P on the M&P9. By no means a deal breaker, but it's just something that I notice. Now, the controls on these two guns are virtually the same as well, with the exception of the horrible thumb safety that comes on the M&P22. Why I mean horrible safety, and I don't want to really get too in depth with it because I will be doing a review on the gun, but it's just not positive, and I just don't see the need for it at all. And it protrudes and adds quite a bit of width to the gun, and so you'll see a video in the future of how to remove the M&P22's thumb safety, because this one will be coming off. I will probably leave that on the race gun, but I'm going to be taking it off of this one. Other than that, the controls are identical between the two. You have the ambidextrous slide release. You do have a reversible magazine release, and the takedown levers are the same as well. Now, when it comes to triggers, they're virtually identical. I do think that the M&P22 has a little bit heavier trigger pull than the M&P9 does, but I do feel that the reset is a little bit better on the M&P22. But you can tell that there's some functional differences between the two, but pretty well the same. Capacity-wise, we're talking about two different types of ammunition. You have in your free states, this one is a 17-round mag. In your communist states, you have 10-rounders, or if you live in New York, you have a 7-round mag. In the M&P22, in my state, you have a 12-round mag. Other states are 10 rounds. So 12 is actually really nice to have in a semi-automatic 22. That's usually that's not seen very often. Okay, now let's talk about sights. I'm going to show you them separately. The M&P9 has this really nice 3-dot Novak style sights. Nothing really to complain about. These ones are not night sights. Someday I'd like to trade these out for a pair of Trijicon. But for the most part, just standard sights, nothing to really balk at all about. On the M&P22, you have a front dot sight, but then you have just a plain rear bladed sight. And the sight is also adjustable on the M&P22. So like I said, the guns are virtually identical from the outside, and the way that they function is virtually identical as well. But the internals really differ. And so what I'm going to do is show you how each one of them breaks down, and then we'll show you kind of the internal parts. So first off, the M&P9, what you do is you take your mag out, lock it back, make sure that your chamber is empty, and then what you do on this one is you rotate the takedown lever. Smith & Wesson tells you that you have to go in there and you have to push down the sear disconnect on the M&P9. What I do is I just drop the slide and then I pull the trigger and the slide comes right off. Not a problem at all. And so I don't mess around with the sear disconnect at all. I don't think it's a big deal. Now on the M&P22 it's quite a bit different. So what you do on this one is you rotate the takedown lever first, you work it out into a half position, so you're not going to pull the pin all the way out. On the M&P22 it's quite a bit different. First off, you need to drop your mag, you need to lock your slide back, make sure that the chamber's empty, let the slide down on this one, and then what you're going to do is you're going to rotate the takedown lever, and then you're going to pull it out to a half position. You're not going to pull it all the way out, you're just going to pull it out to where it's just kind of halfway out. And then what you're going to do is you're going to bring the slide back, lift it up off, and then let it slide forward. This is a blowback design, so it's a bit different than your centerfire counterpart. So you can take your spring out, and that the guide rod also comes out, but we're not even going to worry about that right now. So you can see that there is quite a bit of difference in the internals. This one is a striker fired setup. So it's a single action only striker fire. This one has an internal hammer. This is your hammer right there, that metal piece right there. And so they function the same. They're both single action, but this one's striker fired, this one's hammer fired. And so they both function outside in the way they handle identical, but their internal functioning is quite a bit different. So you can see that this one has the attached barrel. That is inherent to the blowback design. But as you can see, they differ quite a bit on the internals. Really different in how they're set up. So let's go ahead and reassemble them. We're just going to put the spring back on the M&P22. And then we're going to just bring the slide back on, set it down, hit the pin back in, rotate. We're not going to dry fire this one because the M&P22 should not be dry fired. So for a function check, we'll do that later at the range. But there you go. There's the M&P22 back together. The centerfire counterpart, same thing. Just put the slide back on. This usually even comes back up by itself. Let's see. Keep it open there. Rotate that back in place. Function test. Yep. One of the features that both of these guns also have is it does have a witness hole for the chamber, so it allows you to see if there is brass inside the chamber. You can witness it that way. Kind of a nice little feature, I think. So there it is, guys. There's just the nitty gritty. That's essentially the comparison between the 9mm and the 22 versions of this pistol. So like I said, this is not this video is not really to function as a review of the M&P22. It's just more or less a comparison. We're going to get out and do some more shooting with the M&P22 with both it and the race gun, and we'll do a tabletop review here in the near future. But one of the obvious roles of the M&P22 is its role as a trainer pistol for its larger counterpart, the M&P9, 40, 45, and the 357 SIG. So you can shoot gobs and gobs of ammo through this at just a fraction of the cost it would take to fire center fire through your gun. And so you can get a lot of trigger time in this gun to get you proficient on something larger. So anyway, in that role, I think it really will shine. But there's vast other roles that we can throw it into, and we'll talk about that in the review. So anyway, guys, let me know what you guys think. If you have any questions, leave them down below. Don't forget to rate the video, share it with your friends. It does help the video out, and it does help our channel grow, and I really appreciate it. And as always, guys, thanks very much for watching, and we'll catch you in the next video. See ya. But anyway, one of the biggest questions that I get all the time in that video is, will my AR-15 shoot both rounds? And you know, for one thing, I can't always answer the question because they just say, well, does my AR-15 shoot that? Well, I don't know what kind of AR-15 you have, and so I couldn't answer that question anyway. But I wanted to do this video just to clarify that question and let people know how they can identify